Good evening, this is Quintus Curtius, and welcome back to the podcast. The title of this podcast is going to be You've Got the Job. You've got the job. And what do I mean by that? Well, this podcast was really prompted by an email that I got 3 days ago from a listener/reader. And a very nice guy. Looks like he's in his late 20s. And what I can reveal about his situation is this. He's got a very interesting question about work and responsibilities and related issues like that. This is a young man who's obviously very accomplished for his age, and he has without really getting into too much detail, he's involved in he works for a major political figure here in the nation, and I'll just leave it at that. But he basically has a political type job, a meaningful job, not a bullshit job, an actual job where he has to do administrative and actual managerial work, like to manage things. So anyway, he's got the gist of his question is this. The situation is this. This is the backstory. He's in his late 20s, and he has just been tapped by his boss, who's a very powerful political figure. And his boss wants to put him in a new position that, is one of great responsibility. It's one that the previous occupants of this job have been men of many decades of experience, men of much greater age than he is. Again, he's in his late 20s. So obviously his boss has a lot of faith in him. For the boss to give him this job, he's definitely shown himself or proven himself. Otherwise he would not have gotten it. But this our friend here is a little bit intimidated. He's a little bit skittish. He's a little bit nervous because when you've got suddenly a very, very major job thrust upon you, where the previous occupants have been veterans of many years of experience, it can be intimidating. And I guess he made our questioner here, our reader, made the mistake of asking the outgoing occupant of this job, for his advice. And this guy kind of gave our man the cold shoulder. He kind of acted really put out. He basically told this guy that, well, you're kind of young for this job and you don't really belong here and blah, 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 blah. Typical old guy bullshit. And I've been there. I've been in that situation. I'm sure you guys have been in that situation. But this guy was this son of a bitch who was leaving, really gave him the cold shoulder and really kind of treated him with disdain in many ways. Obviously, of course. Maybe he wanted his flunky friend to get the job, and he didn't want our friend to get it. That's the real reason. He probably had a friend or relative who wanted the job, or a buddy, and he resents this young kid. So anyway, the question of the reader here to me is, he's basically saying, I'm very nervous about my new position because I don't have a lot of prior experience, but blah, 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 blah. I have a feeling of inadequacy. I may be in over my head. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings on this? All right. Well, I'm glad you asked, because these are my thoughts and feelings. I think it was Abraham Lincoln who first said that, any number of other guys could have been in my position as president. I think he said this or wrote this. I remember reading it somewhere. He said something to the effect that there's a number of people that could have done this job and probably could have done it as well or better than I have. But the reality is I'm here. I'm the president, and it's my job, and I'm the one that has to carry out the responsibilities of this office. And what Lincoln meant by that was, you can always say that someone could have done my job better. You can always say that I'm too inexperienced and too young for this job. But God damn it, I'm the one here. I'm the one that has the job. And, President Truman, Harry Truman, when he first got into office after the death of FDR, said the same thing, basically. He used to have a sign on his desk that said, "The buck stops here. I'm the decision maker. And you can say whatever you want, but I'm the one that makes the decisions. And anyway, my point is this. My point to this young guy in his late 20s is this. Obviously, you're in a position of great responsibility. And for your boss to give you this assignment bespeaks very well of you. Obviously, he must have great faith in your leadership abilities. He must have great faith in your managerial abilities. He must have great faith in your maturity, in your sense of duty and obligation and ability to carry this job, the responsibilities of this job out. You have a constituency of one. You have a constituency of one. And that one person is your boss. That's the only person you have to satisfy. These other people, they can go pack sand. They can go pack sand. Because at the end of the day, you only have to please one person. And yes, it's normal to feel inadequate and uncertain and nervous when you slide into a new billet, when you slide into a new position and it's a place you've never been to before. We all feel that way. I felt that way. You feel that way. Everybody who has a brain, I think, feels a little bit of apprehension before they take on a startlingly expansive role in any organization. Okay, that's normal. Okay, but at the end of the day, you're the one that has the job. You've got the job. You've got the job. And it doesn't matter if some dunce or if some knob nibbler or some pudwhack is upset or doesn't think you should belong there or doesn't like you or doesn't like the way you part your hair or doesn't like the way you shuffle the papers on your desk. Tough shit. Tough shit. You've got the job. And it's your responsibility to carry out that job, to carry out the tasks to which you were assigned. So it doesn't matter what old man, dunce warrior who doesn't approve of you and didn't want to give you any advice, did not want to give you any reasonable turnover advice, and basically snubbed you and said that you didn't really belong in that position and blah, 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 blah. Fuck him. Fuck him. That's my advice to you. Fuck him. Who gives a shit what he thinks? He's out. You're in. It's your job to carry out the responsibilities of that office, and that's what you better do. And you better do it to the best of your ability. Because at the end of the day, you've got one person that you need to satisfy. Actually, two if you want to count yourself. Because even though you have a constituency of one, you still have to look at yourself in the mirror. And look, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. That's normal. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fumble the ball occasionally. But as long as people can see that you're trying to improve, that you're diligently studying the requirements of office, that you're trying to improve, that you're showing good faith, that you're making progress, no one is going to fault you for that. Okay? No one is going to give you grief over that. Okay, so consider it a compliment. Consider it a compliment that you were given this job. Obviously, your boss has a great deal of faith in your abilities, and you should take that as a measure of confidence. You should take that as a token of respect in some ways. But, don't be rattled by these sons of bitches who want to give you this attitude and play this, my uncle, my cousin Ernie really should be here, who graduated from, Dick Licker University and blah, 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 and you don't belong here. I mean, that's basically what this guy was saying, more or less. But you can't think about things like that. You've got work to do. You've got responsibilities to carry out. You have tasks to accomplish. So you've got to tune out the nibblers. Tune out the nibblers and do your job. Do your job. And as long as you do that, you'll never have to fear anything. You'll always be able to sleep soundly at night. You'll always be able to look at yourself in the mirror, and your boss will notice, and your people will notice. And that is how you achieve respect and success in life. All right. That's enough for that subject. So for now, I'm Quintus Curtius. We'll sign out. Until next time.